5:58 a.m. Beacon Hill. The streetlights are still on, glowing soft amber against red brick that has seen centuries pass by. Overnight rain clings to the cobblestones, turning them into a quiet mirror. Each stone reflects a fragment of the sky as dawn begins to stretch. A delivery truck hums somewhere far off, not close enough to interrupt the silence, just close enough to remind you that the city is waking, slowly, deliberately. A single window flickers on, then another. Footsteps echo, measured, unhurried. Someone walking a dog, someone late, or early. It's hard to tell in a city like this, where time feels layered instead of linear. The street slopes gently downward. Gas lamps line the sidewalk, their light fading as the morning strengthens. Iron railings frame narrow staircases that disappear into doorways painted deep black, forest green, navy blue. Each door feels intentional. Nothing here is rushed. You don't arrive in Boston all at once. You enter it gradually. The bricks underfoot are uneven, worn smooth by millions of steps. Revolutionaries, dockworkers, students, tourists who stayed longer than planned. The street remembers them all, even if it says nothing. A breeze moves through the trees overhead, shaking loose a few drops of rain. They fall softly, tapping against stone. No horns, no sirens, just the quiet mechanics of morning. This isn't the Boston most people imagine. There are no skyscrapers here. No flashing signs, no urgency, just streets that curve instead of run straight, as if they were designed to slow you down before you even realize it's happening. At the corner, the street narrows. The sidewalk almost disappears. A wrought iron fence leans slightly inward, giving the sense that the city itself is listening. Somewhere nearby, a cafe door opens. The smell of coffee drifts into the street, warm, familiar. Comforting. A barista sets chairs outside, metal legs scraping gently against stone. It's not a performance, it's routine, and that's what makes it feel real. The sun finally clears the rooftops. Light spills down the brick walls, revealing details that darkness hides: chipped mortar, faded numbers on doors, ivy beginning to creep back after winter. These streets don't try to look perfect. They just exist, and somehow that makes them beautiful. A runner passes, breath steady, shoes tapping rhythmically. He doesn't look up. He doesn't need to. These streets are part of his day, not a destination. And that might be the most telling detail of all. Boston isn't loud about its beauty. It doesn't announce itself. It waits. As the sky shifts from blue-gray to pale gold, shadows stretch and retreat. The street feels wider now, more open. Morning has permission to enter. This is a city built on layers, history stacked gently on top of daily life. Here, on these hidden streets, the layers don't compete. They coexist. You realize something quietly, without words. If you rush through Boston, you'll miss it. But if you slow down, the city reveals itself one street at a time. And this is only the beginning. Just beyond the corner, another street curves out of sight, narrower, quieter, untouched by guidebooks. It waits in silence, holding its own story. What happens when you turn that corner? The turn is subtle, easy to miss. One moment you're standing where Beacon Hill feels familiar, almost postcard perfect, and the next, the street pulls inward, tightening like a quiet breath being held. The bricks darken here, the buildings lean closer together, as if sharing a secret. This is where Boston begins to feel personal. A narrow street unfolds ahead, not straight but gently bending, guiding you rather than directing you. The sidewalks are barely wide enough for two people to pass without a small, instinctive pause. When they do, there's a nod. No words, just acknowledgement. Here, the city doesn't perform. Window boxes spill over with late summer flowers, not arranged, not coordinated, just alive. Some are thriving, others are clearly trying. A handwritten note taped inside a window reads asterisk. Back soon, asterisk. No explanation needed. Laundry hangs from a second-story railing, moving softly with the morning air. It's the kind of detail that makes you forget you're in one of America's most historic cities. For a moment, it could be anywhere. Or nowhere else at all. The sound changes too. The hum of traffic fades completely. In its place, the faint rattle of a loose shutter, the clink of dishes from inside an unseen kitchen, a radio playing low behind a closed door. You don't recognize the song, but it feels old, familiar in a way that's hard to place. You slow down without realizing it. The street surface shifts, from smooth brick to uneven stone. Each step requires attention now. It's impossible to rush when the ground itself asks you not to. The city is setting the pace. A man steps out of a doorway carrying a folded newspaper under his arm. He locks the door carefully, tests it once, then looks up. His eyes meet yours for a half second. He smiles, slight but genuine, and continues on his way. No curiosity, no suspicion, just another morning on this street. A small park appears unexpectedly, not announced, not framed, just there. A patch of green tucked between brick walls like a thought someone almost forgot to say out loud. 2 benches, 1 tree, the grass still wet with dew. A woman sits on the bench closest to the street, coffee in hand, staring at nothing in particular. Or maybe everything. Her phone rests face down beside her. She doesn't touch it. That detail matters. Boston has places like this everywhere. Pockets of quiet woven into the city's fabric. But they don't reveal themselves unless you're willing to wander without purpose. The street continues, dipping slightly, and you catch a glimpse of water at the far end. Not the wide openness of the harbor. Something smaller, intimate, a sliver of reflection between buildings. As you move closer, the smell changes. Damp stone gives way to salt and old wood. The air feels cooler, even though the sun is higher now. You emerge onto a narrow stretch near the Charles River, not the busy esplanade, but a forgotten edge where joggers rarely go and tourists never stop. The railing is worn smooth by decades of hands resting there, watching the water move without urgency. Rowboats glide silently across the surface. Their motion is slow, synchronized, almost meditative. The oars dip, pull, rise. Again and again, no rush, no spectacle. Across the river, the city skyline rises, modern, glass, confident. But here, on this side, the street holds its ground. Brick and stone refusing to compete. You realize something standing there. Boston doesn't erase its past to make room for the future. It lets them exist side by side. Turning back, you notice details you missed on the way down. A carved date above a doorway, half eroded by time. An old lantern bracket with no lantern attached. A faded plaque that people walk past without ever reading. These streets were never meant to impress. They were meant to be lived on. And that's why they feel different. As the morning deepens, more doors open. A couple arguing softly in passing. A child skipping steps down a stoop, backpack bouncing. Life unfolds naturally, uncurated. No one is performing Boston here. They're simply inside it. The street you're on won't show up in most searches. It doesn't trend, it doesn't try, but it leaves a mark. Because once you've walked a street like this, the louder parts of the city feel a little less necessary. You start to look for curves instead of straight lines. For silence instead of spectacle. And you begin to wonder how many more streets like this exist. Hidden just one turn away, holding stories no one is rushing to tell. At the next intersection, the city opens again. Light, movement, noise returning slowly, like a tide. You hesitate. Do you step back into the rhythm of the city? Or do you keep choosing the quieter path, unsure where it leads? Mid-morning now, North End, not the part everyone photographs, but the stretch just beyond it, where the streets tighten and the signs stop trying to impress. Here, the brick is darker, older, the buildings feel closer, their windows stacked unevenly, as if the city grew upward out of necessity rather than design. Sunlight struggles to reach the ground, slipping through narrow gaps and landing in thin, moving lines. This is where Boston exhales. A delivery van blocks half the street. No one seems bothered. A shop owner steps outside, wiping his hands on a towel slung over one shoulder. He exchanges a few words with the driver, half English, half Italian, spoken quickly, comfortably. They've done this dance before. Inside a nearby bakery, the door opens and closes constantly. Warm air rushes out each time, carrying the smell of bread and sugar and something richer you can't quite name. It clings to your clothes as you pass, lingering longer than expected. You hear laughter above you, second floor, maybe third, a family gathered around a table you can't see. The sound isn't loud, but it fills the street more than traffic ever could. This is not a museum version of Boston. This is the living one. Laundry lines stretch from building to building, crossing the street like quiet bridges. Shirts sway gently overhead, socks, towels, a child's jacket far too small for whoever owns it now. Each piece tells a story no plaque ever will. You notice how people move here. They don't hurry, but they don't linger either. They know exactly where they're going, and exactly how long it should take. A woman carrying groceries stops mid-street to greet an older man leaning in a doorway. Their conversation is brief but warm. No phones, no checking the time. The sidewalk disappears completely for a moment, forcing you into the street. Cars slow automatically. No honking, no frustration, just an unspoken agreement. This street belongs to people first. There's a small chapel tucked between two apartment buildings. Easy to miss. The door is open, just slightly. Inside, candles flicker against stone walls darkened by decades of smoke and prayer. No one is inside, or maybe someone is, sitting so still they've become part of the silence. You don't step in. Some spaces don't need to be entered to be felt. Further down, the street bends again. Boston loves its curves, and suddenly you're standing in front of a corner cafe with no sign, no branding, no menu posted outside. Just a chalkboard with one word written in uneven letters, espresso. Inside, the room is narrow. Two small tables, a counter worn smooth by elbows and time. The barista doesn't ask what you want. He waits. When you speak, he nods once and turns away. The cup arrives quickly. Ceramic, heavy, no logo, no lid. You take a sip standing at the counter, watching the street through a smudged window. The coffee is strong, unapologetic. It doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. Outside, the street continues its quiet rhythm. A woman waters plants on her stoop. Water spills onto the stone and runs downhill in thin streams, catching light. Somewhere, a radio plays an old song you almost recognize. This is Boston beneath the surface, not hidden in the sense of secrecy, but overlooked because it refuses to announce itself. The guidebooks pass through here quickly, if at all. They don't stop long enough to notice the way the buildings lean just a little, or how the streets narrow as if protecting what's inside them. You start to understand something important. The beauty of these streets isn't visual alone. It's behavioral. It's how people exist within them. A man sweeps the sidewalk outside his shop, pushing dust and leaves into the gutter with slow, deliberate strokes. He isn't rushing to open. He's preparing the space. The act itself matters. Two kids race past on scooters, their laughter bouncing off brick walls. They vanish around a corner and the street settles again, like water after a skipped stone. Time works differently here. You check your watch without meaning to, and immediately regret it. Whatever schedule you had feels irrelevant now. These streets don't respond to deadlines. They respond to presence. At the far end, the street widens slightly, opening onto a small square with a single tree at its center. Its leaves move gently, catching the light. A few chairs sit beneath it, unoccupied. Waiting, you sit. From here, you can see the street you just walked, the curve, the texture, the quiet life unfolding without effort. Nothing dramatic happened, no grand reveal, and yet, something has shifted. You realize you're not just observing Boston anymore. You're inside it, and once that happens, the city begins to ask something of you, not loudly, not urgently, but persistently. Are you willing to slow down enough to notice what most people walk past? Because beyond this square, another street begins, one even quieter, even more easily missed. A street that doesn't show its beauty right away, and it waits patiently, knowing that only a few will turn toward it. Early afternoon, the light has changed. It's sharper now, more direct, catching edges, revealing details that morning softened. Shadows shorten, brick glows warmer, the city feels more awake, but not louder. You leave the small square and follow a street that barely qualifies as one. It feels more like a passage, a narrow corridor of stone and brick slipping between larger blocks. No street sign announces it, no reason suggests you should go this way. And yet, you do. Here, the walls rise higher. Windows sit just above eye level, close enough that you could reach out and touch the glass. Some are open, some sealed shut. Curtains move faintly behind them, stirred by unseen air. The sound of footsteps returns, not yours this time. Someone approaching from the opposite end. The space tightens instinctively. When you pass, there's a moment of quiet choreography, a sideways step, a soft apology exchanged without words. These streets teach you how to move. Halfway down, you notice something strange. The noise of the city, distant, but constant everywhere else, has disappeared completely. Not softened, gone. The air feels heavier, as if it's holding sound back. A cat sits on a stone ledge, eyes half closed, unbothered. It watches you pass with the slow indifference of something that belongs here more than you ever will. You catch the smell of old wood, then dust, then something floral, laundry soap, maybe, drifting down from an unseen window above. The layers overlap, each one subtle on its own, but together forming something distinctly human. This is Boston without explanation. No plaques, no timelines, no effort to remind you why it matters. The street exists whether you care or not. That's part of its power. You pause near a doorway recessed into the wall, its wooden frame worn smooth by decades of hands. Someone has left a pair of shoes outside, scuffed, practical, placed carefully side by side. A plant sits beside them, leaves catching the sun. The door opens suddenly. A woman steps out, phone pressed to her ear, mid-conversation. She nods once at you, polite, brief, then disappears down the street, her voice fading as quickly as it arrived. Life here doesn't linger for observation. It just moves. At the end of the passage, the street opens unexpectedly into a broader space, not a square, not a park, but something in between. A place shaped by accident rather than design. A few trees, a brick wall covered in ivy, a bench worn thin at the center. You sit again. From here, you can hear the city return, faint horns, distant conversations, the hum of movement. But it feels far away, like a different layer of reality. This space exists just outside of urgency. A man walks by pushing a cart stacked with folded chairs. He hums to himself. The tune is barely audible, but steady. Intentional. When he reaches the far side, he stops, adjusts the stack, then continues on. Nothing about it is remarkable. And yet, you find yourself watching until he disappears. You begin to understand something deeper about Boston. Something guidebooks struggle to explain. The city isn't defined by its landmarks. It's defined by the spaces between them. By the streets that don't connect major attractions. By the paths that exist simply because people needed to get from one place to another. These hidden streets weren't built to be beautiful. They became beautiful because people lived fully within them. The afternoon sun shifts again, sliding lower. Light filters through leaves, casting moving patterns across brick walls. The air cools slightly. Somewhere nearby, a bell rings, not loud, not ceremonial, just a soft marker of time passing. You realize you've stopped taking photos. At some point, the need to capture fades. The moment feels complete without proof. That's when you know you've gone far enough off the main path. The city starts to give you something back, not as a reward, but as a quiet acknowledgement. As you stand to leave, you notice another street branching off from this space. Narrower still, the entrance partially hidden by shadow. You can't see where it goes. The light doesn't reach very far. It doesn't invite you. It doesn't warn you away. It simply exists. And suddenly, the question isn't whether Boston has more beautiful streets to show you. The question is whether you're ready to keep choosing the ones that ask nothing in return. Late afternoon, Back Bay's quieter edge, the sun leans west, stretching long shadows across streets that feel wider now, more composed, more measured. The energy has shifted. Morning curiosity has settled into something calmer, reflective. Here, the architecture changes its tone. Brownstones line the street in quiet symmetry, their facades warm and deliberate. Bay windows curve outward, catching the light like open palms. Iron railings trace gentle patterns along stoops worn smooth by years of use. Everything feels intentional, not ornate, not minimal, just balanced. The street breathes differently. Cars pass occasionally, their sound softened by tree canopies overhead. Leaves move lightly in the breeze, filtering sunlight into slow, drifting patterns. It's the kind of light that makes even ordinary moments feel considered. A woman walks ahead of you, carrying flowers wrapped in brown paper. She pauses at a crosswalk, adjusts the bundle, then continues on. A man jogs past on the opposite side, earbuds in, eyes focused forward. Their paths cross without acknowledgement, each absorbed in their own rhythm. This is a residential Boston. Lived in, grounded. You notice small details, a brass door handle polished by decades of touch, a carved stone lintel etched with a date most people never look up to read. Curtains pulled back just enough to let the afternoon in. A lamp already on inside, despite the daylight. Someone is preparing for evening. There's a bench beneath a large tree near the corner. You sit for a moment, watching the street settle. A child rides a bicycle slowly up the sidewalk, wobbling slightly. A parent follows a few steps behind, not close enough to interfere, not far enough to disappear. That distance matters. This street doesn't rush childhood. It gives it room. A delivery truck stops briefly. Boxes are unloaded efficiently. No spectacle, no disruption. The driver nods to a resident who holds the door open without being asked. The exchange is wordless, practiced. These streets aren't about discovery. They're about continuity. As the light deepens, windows begin to glow softly. The city transitions not with an announcement, but with a series of small adjustments, lights switching on, voices lowering, movement slowing. You walk on. The street bends gently again. Boston never lets you forget it prefers curves, and suddenly you're standing near a narrow lane branching off between buildings. It feels older, quieter, almost hesitant. You turn into it. The lane is shaded now, the sun blocked by tall brick walls. The temperature drops noticeably. The ground is uneven, the stones darker, damp from a recent watering. Ivy climbs aggressively here, unchecked, claiming wall space without apology. This place feels paused. There are no storefronts, no signs, just doors and windows, and the sense that you're passing through someone else's routine rather than a destination. A door opens briefly. Someone steps out to empty a small trash bin, then disappears again. The door closes softly. The sound echoes longer than expected. You stop near the end of the lane where it opens back onto a busier street. Traffic hums. Voices rise. The modern city returns abruptly, like a curtain pulled back too fast. And yet, you don't step out right away. You look back. From this angle, the lane feels like a seam, a place where two versions of Boston meet. The public city and the private one. The city people visit and the city people stay in. You realize something quietly, standing there between worlds. The most beautiful streets in Boston aren't always the ones that impress you immediately. They're the ones that soften you. They lower your pace. They quiet your thoughts. They remind you that cities aren't built to be conquered or consumed. They're meant to be inhabited. As the afternoon begins its slow descent toward evening, you step back into the movement of the city. But something has changed. You're no longer searching for beauty. You're recognizing it when it appears. And just ahead, the light shifts again, golden now, spilling into a different neighborhood entirely. A place where the day begins to fold into night, and the streets prepare for a different kind of life. You follow the light, curious how Boston will change once more. 6:27 p.m. South End. The light is golden but fragile, slipping between buildings as if it knows it won't last long. The day hasn't ended yet, but it's loosening its grip. This is the hour where Boston feels most honest. The streets here are wider, lined with brick row houses that hold their ground with quiet confidence. Stoops become gathering places. Doors stay open longer. Conversations spill out just enough to blur the line between public and private. A couple sits on their front steps sharing takeout from a paper bag. They eat slowly, talking between bites, pausing often. No rush, no distraction. Their laughter floats briefly into the street before settling back where it belongs. You walk past small galleries and corner shops, their lights warm and deliberate. Inside, people browse without urgency. A shopkeeper leans against the counter, watching the street more than the shelves. The smell of food thickens here, garlic, bread, something sweet caramelizing somewhere you can't see. It mixes with the faint scent of old brick still holding heat from the sun. This is a neighborhood that understands evenings. A dog walker pauses mid-block to let their dog linger at a patch of grass. The leash goes slack. The moment stretches. No one minds. Cars wait patiently. The rhythm of the street adjusts itself around small needs. That detail stays with you. At the corner, a park opens, unexpectedly generous. Rows of trees frame pathways that lead nowhere in particular. People sit scattered across benches and grass, some alone, some together, all existing in parallel. A man reads a book, turning pages slowly, as if savoring each one. Nearby, two friends lie on the grass staring upward, saying nothing at all. Their silence feels intentional. The sun dips lower. Light clings to the tops of buildings now, leaving the street level in shade. Windows glow brighter. Reflections appear in glass. Faces layered over brick, movement layered over stillness. This is the hour where the city changes its voice. Traffic becomes background. Footsteps take over. Laughter. Music drifting from an open window above. Someone practicing piano. Hesitant, imperfect, human. You stop near an intersection where the street slopes gently downward. From here, you can see far enough to watch the light fade in stages. The far end is still warm and bright. The near end has already turned blue-gray. Time feels visible. A cyclist passes, coasting slowly, not pedaling. A bus sighs as it pulls away from a stop. A group of friends emerges from a brownstone, adjusting jackets, deciding where to go next. You notice how Boston doesn't rush into night. It transitions. The streets don't flip a switch. They dim gradually, allowing people to follow at their own pace. There's no pressure to perform the evening. Just space to enter it. As darkness settles, the streetlights come on one by one. Not all at once, each one claiming a small circle of ground. The spaces between them feel softer now, less defined. You walk beneath them, feeling the shift. The city is still moving, but inward. Windows reveal lives unfolding behind glass. dinner tables, lamps, movement. These hidden streets let you glimpse without intruding. Enough to feel connected, not enough to feel invited. That balance matters. At the far end of the street, music grows louder, a bar or restaurant just out of view. The sound pulses faintly, promising energy, noise, brightness. You hesitate again. Because behind you, the street you're standing on has settled into something rare, a calm that doesn't feel empty. A stillness that holds meaning. You realize this is the version of Boston that stays with people long after they leave. Not the monuments, not the museums, but the hour between day and night, experienced on a street that doesn't ask for attention. The music ahead grows louder with each step you don't take. And for a moment, you wonder, what happens if you turn away from it instead? 9:11 p.m., Charlestown. The evening has settled fully now. The city exhales again, not into silence, but into something slower, steadier. Here, the streets feel older at night. Brick darkens, shadows deepen, streetlights cast long, deliberate pools of amber that don't quite meet in the middle. The spaces between them feel private, protected. You walk along a residential street where most windows glow softly. Televisions flicker behind curtains. A voice rises briefly in laughter, then drops again. The sounds are intimate, unperformed. This part of Boston doesn't entertain. It lives. A porch light clicks on somewhere behind you. The sound echoes faintly, sharper than expected. A dog barks once, then settles. Footsteps approach from behind, slow, unhurried, then pass, accompanied by the soft jingle of keys. You notice how the city carries itself differently now. Movements are smaller, voices lower. The streets don't ask to be walked, they allow it. At the corner, the road slopes downward toward the water. You can smell it before you see it, salt, metal, old wood. The harbor is close, not wide or dramatic from here, just present. A narrow street leads toward the waterfront, lined with modest homes and quiet stoops. Someone has left a chair outside, angled toward the street. No one sits in it. It feels like an invitation that isn't urgent. You pass a small park, barely lit. A couple sits on a bench facing the water, shoulders touching, not speaking. The city hums behind them, distant and irrelevant. You stop near the end of the street where it meets the harbor. The water reflects broken lines of light from across the way, modern buildings, ferries moving silently, the occasional shimmer of passing headlights. From here, Boston feels layered. Behind you, brick streets, lived in and quiet. Ahead of you, water, movement, the suggestion of elsewhere. The street doesn't compete with the view. It frames it. A man stands near the railing, hands in his pockets, staring out. You don't know what he's thinking, and you don't need to. This street allows for that kind of distance. You realize something quietly, standing there. The most beautiful streets aren't always the ones with the best views. They're the ones that let you stand still without feeling watched. As you turn back, walking uphill now, the street feels different. Familiar, like it's accepted your presence. The lights guide you gently upward. Doors are closed now. The day's performances are over. What remains is routine, memory, rest. You pass a house with a window open. Inside, someone is playing an old record. The music drifts out, distorted slightly by the glass and distance. You don't recognize the song, but it feels like it belongs here. This is Boston after the noise fades. Not empty, not asleep, just settled. At the top of the street, another intersection waits, brighter, louder, more active. Restaurants, bars, motion, energy. You pause one last time, looking back down the quiet slope toward the water. Some streets change you loudly. Others do it so gently you don't notice until later. You step forward again, carrying the stillness with you, wondering how long it will last once you rejoin the city's current. And somewhere ahead, another hidden street waits, not for crowds, not for attention, just for someone willing to walk it at the right hour. 10:42 p.m. North Beacon Hill. The city feels like it has been exhaled, leaving only shadows, soft light, and memory. The streets hum faintly with life. The occasional passing car, a distant voice, the echo of footsteps on worn stone. You walk slowly, letting your eyes wander along brick facades, stoops, and narrow alleys. Each door you pass seems to hold its own story. You don't see the people, but you sense them, their routines, their choices, their small moments preserved in the texture of the street. Some windows are open, a soft glow spilling onto the cobblestones. Music drifts, a piano, a voice singing along softly, laughter from a living room somewhere behind a closed door. The sounds layer over the quiet night, making it richer, more intimate. On one corner, a single lantern flickers. Its light catches on the uneven cobblestones, illuminating scratches, chips, and marks that tell you this street has been walked for centuries. Soldiers, families, students, dreamers, every step left a trace. A figure moves past, a resident returning home late. Keys jingle, boots scuff softly. They pause at a doorway, glance up at the night sky, and continue inside. The door closes with a gentle click. Another story absorbed, another presence noted, and yet unseen. The streets seem alive in this way. Not with spectacle, not with performance, but with memory. They remember the people who move through them. They remember even the ones who don't pause to notice. A stray cat darts between iron railings. Its paws tap lightly on the stones. You watch it disappear into shadow, and for a moment, you think of all the fleeting presences this city holds, unseen, unrecorded, yet still part of its rhythm. Each step feels intentional now. You're aware of the textures, brick, stone, iron, the subtle curves that guide you without instruction. The way the street narrows and widens, creating moments to stop, to pause, to reflect. Boston is not a city that demands your attention. It waits, quietly, patiently, and those who walk its hidden streets receive it, a reward not shouted, but whispered in the creak of a door, the sway of a tree, the quiet hum of life behind closed windows. As you round another corner, the faint sound of water reaches you again. Not the harbor itself, but the memory of it, the motion, the reflection, the life flowing just beneath the surface. You realize these streets are conduits. They connect not just points on a map, but the past to the present, the quiet to the loud, the seen to the unseen. A street lamp flickers once, then steadies. Shadows stretch across the brick walls, softening the hard lines of the buildings. The night deepens, but the streets do not darken. They glow faintly with life, with history, with quiet energy that seems to pulse through each stone and railing. And for the first time, you notice the small human gestures that define this hidden Boston. A light left on for someone returning home, a door left ajar, a forgotten shoe, a folding chair on a stoop, a voice carried through an open window. These are the acts that matter here, not the monuments, not the crowds, not the guidebooks. You take a deep breath. And you understand. The streets of Boston are storytellers. They speak softly, not with words, but with presence. They carry memory, choice, and quiet life, and those who listen leave differently than they arrived. And somewhere, just ahead, another curve waits. Another street holding its own secret, its own pulse, its own story. What story will it tell if you choose to follow? 11:58 p.m. Back Bay. The city is nearly asleep, yet the streets retain a subtle hum, the heartbeat of Boston in the quiet hours. Streetlights cast long, golden pools onto smooth sidewalks. Windows glow faintly. The occasional car glides past like a soft exhale. You walk slowly, noticing details that daylight hides. The ornate trim above doors, the tiny plaques half forgotten by time, the gentle sway of trees silhouetted against brick walls. Everything here feels deliberate yet effortless, lived in, unpolished, enduring. A narrow street bends before you, almost invisible in shadow. You step onto it. The air is cooler now, carrying the faint scent of salt from the nearby harbor mixed with the lingering warmth of bricks still holding daytime heat. The silence feels full, not empty. Here, you notice how the city preserves memory. Steps worn smooth by centuries, railings darkened by hands that came before. Every brick, every stone has been touched, passed, paused upon, a collective presence layered over generations. A few lights flicker from apartment windows. A cat slinks silently along a ledge. Somewhere, laughter floats faintly, then disappears. You're not observing. You're participating quietly in this rhythm, a small, unobtrusive witness to life unfolding. You pass a corner where stoops jut into the street, chairs abandoned for the night. One is tilted slightly, as if someone might return at any moment. The street feels intimate, protective, as if the city itself shields these hidden spaces from the wider world. The curve of the street opens slightly to reveal a distant view of the Charles River. Its surface is nearly still, reflecting the dim glow of buildings across the water. You pause, feeling both small and deeply connected, a single presence within a city layered with stories. Boston doesn't demand your attention here. It offers it, gently, patiently, persistently. You realize that the most beautiful streets are not those on postcards. They are the ones that allow you to slow, to notice, to feel time stretch and compress simultaneously. To witness a city existing on its own terms, regardless of who is passing through. Your footsteps echo softly as you continue. The night deepens, A distant bell rings somewhere, subtle, marking a moment you cannot name. The city folds itself around you, quiet, protective, alive. And somewhere just ahead, another street curves out of sight, waiting. Waiting for someone willing to walk without expectation, to notice without needing acknowledgement, to let Boston reveal itself slowly, without hurry, without spectacle. You feel the city settle around you, a final hush that carries all the mornings, afternoons, and evenings you've walked through. Every hidden street, every quiet corner, every overlooked passage has brought you here. A quiet realization takes hold. The beauty of Boston is not in what it shows